Hey guys, it's Charlie, and you're watching Wednesday on Our Pagan Opinions. And this week, we're talking about a social issue. We're talking about legalization of marijuana and whether or not we agree with it. I do agree with the legalization of marijuana. I do want to let it be known that I don't personally partake in smoking marijuana. I don't find enjoyment in it whatsoever. I don't like the way it makes me feel. Same reason I don't drink alcohol. I don't like the way it makes me feel. It gives me anxiety. So instead of going on this long kind of like explaining why, I'm going to give you guys some facts and I'm going to let them speak for themselves. I've got it broken down into 3 sections: environmental benefits, economic and social benefits, and health benefits. So here we go. The environmental benefits. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a single acre of hemp produces 4 times as much paper as a single acre of trees. There's not a single plant species on the earth able to produce as much paper per acre as hemp. Using hemp to produce paper would save billions of trees, millions of forests, and vast wildlife habitats could be preserved. Trees take up to 50 years to mature in order to be able to harvest them for commercial purposes. Hemp, on the other hand, usually reaches maturation in about 100 days, around 4 months. What that means is that we'd be able to harvest more, and it would take less time for us to replenish the source. Of course, it's going to save old-growth trees, and I think everyone kind of knows the benefits already of the importance of old-growth trees. Forested trees require large tracts of land that are not widely available. We currently have a deforestation rate of 3% per year. However, hemp can be grown on most U.S. farmland and is a far more superior renewable resource. Substituting hemp for trees would also eliminate topsoil erosion that occurs due to logging. Hemp also requires less fertilizer, which results in less runoff in waterways and in groundwater. The reduction in topsoil erosion and the reduction in runoff would lead to a reduction in water pollution. Evidence suggests that hemp can actually lift heavy metals out of polluted soil by tapping into subsoil nutrients that other plants can't access. When making paper, more caustic and toxic chemicals are required when using trees. Using fewer of those chemicals making paper from hemp will also reduce pollution. Hemp fiber is 10 times stronger and more durable than cotton. It can be used to make all types of clothing. Hemp naturally repels weeds, and it has few bothersome insects that are attracted to it. This would lead to a decrease in pesticide use, herbicide use, and fungicide use. Replacing cotton with hemp would also drastically improve the environment. Did you guys know that cotton is the #1 most sprayed crop on the face of the earth? Hemp also produces twice as much fiber per acre as cotton. Twice as much. Virtually all hemp substitutes require more work and more resources than hemp itself. None of hemp's competitors have the paper and fiber potential of hemp. Hemp can also act as a substitute for wood in building materials. That I actually did not know. The wood-like hemp materials are stronger than wood, and they're also more cost-effective to manufacture. Not to mention, it would also save more trees. Hemp oil can be used to make paints, varnishes, inks, lubricating oils, and it can actually also replace petroleum-based products like plastic. It's also sustainable, and it's a sustainable replacement for concrete. The concrete thing I also did not know. Most hemp-derived products are non-toxic, biodegradable, and renewable. Hemp produces more biomass than any plant able to be grown in the U.S. This biomass can be converted to fuel in the form of clean-burning alcohol. Hemp biomass fuel also produces no sulfur, and it can be effectively used as a relatively clean power source due to its 95% fuel-to-feed ratio. It's estimated that if hemp was widely grown in the United States for fuel and energy, it could supply 100% of United States energy needs. No tree or plant species on the earth has the commercial, economic, and environmental potential of hemp. Hemp has over 25,000 known uses. Economic and social benefits. Marijuana legalization would create hundreds of new jobs. It would raise millions of dollars annually in combined savings and in revenue. And that's actually only in one state, so billions if we were to do it across the entire country. Some people believe that marijuana causes a lack of motivation. The Institute of Medicine actually reported that there's no convincing data demonstrating a causal relationship between marijuana use and a lack of motivation. 50% of all Americans have used marijuana, including the last 3 presidents, as well as some governors, and some of the world's greatest athletes. So that kind of goes to show that marijuana itself does not cause a lack of motivation. By placing marijuana in a regulated market and removing it from the underground criminal market, we'll no longer be empowering gangs and cartels, but instead supporting the economy. For years, federal surveys have found that marijuana is universally available to young people. Let me say that again. Federal studies have reported that marijuana is universally available to young people, and that it's easier for them to obtain and purchase marijuana than it is for them to obtain and purchase alcohol. Our current policy of prohibition not only failed us, but it also proves to be counterproductive. If we want to make it more difficult for minors to access marijuana, we need to get it off the streets where dealers don't ask for ID and put it behind the counter where proof of age is required. As far as the gateway theory that marijuana is a gateway drug that leads to harder drugs, every time that researchers objectively look at it, they realize that that particular theory doesn't actually hold weight. In fact, it's actually marijuana's status of being illegal that makes it a gateway drug. The reason is because it forces marijuana sales underground into a market that sells other illegal products. By regulating marijuana and making it available on the legal market, we can actually reduce consumers' exposure to harder drugs. Health benefits. Hemp seeds are nutritious and high in protein. They're one of the most pure, most nutritionally dense foods on our planet. Hemp seeds are rich in vitamins and minerals, and they're also the only edible seeds with, I may be saying this wrong, gamma-linolenic acid, or GLA. GLA is an essential fatty acid, and the essential fatty acid ratio in hemp seeds is actually a perfect ratio for our bodies. Some health benefits of hemp seeds are heart health and lowered blood pressure, better digestion, losing weight naturally, more energy, harmonious blood sugar levels. Hemp oil, which is not an intoxicating substance, you cannot get high or intoxicated from hemp oil, is more cost-effective than extracting soybean oil. However, hemp protein can be processed in the same way soybean protein is processed. So you can use hemp protein the same way that soybeans are used. Hemp oil can be used to make tofu, butters, cheeses, salad oils, and other foods. Marijuana is more effective, less toxic, and less expensive than alternative synthetic medicines currently on the market. It can alleviate pain from many diseases. Marijuana is used to help cancer patients to be more comfortable, but it also helps them retain an appetite. The same logic can be applied to those who suffer from anorexia, as marijuana can increase the appetite. I actually knew a girl who was anorexic, and one of the ways that she was overcoming her anorexia was, or helping her kind of stay on the wagon as she's recovering, was smoking weed. Because when she would smoke weed, she would eat. When she wasn't smoking weed, she wouldn't eat. Every objective study on marijuana has concluded that it's far safer than tobacco and alcohol for the consumer. Alcohol and tobacco are more toxic, more addictive, and more harmful to the body than marijuana. Alcohol is more likely to result in injuries and interpersonal violence. Health-related costs for marijuana users is 8 times lower than the cost of alcohol users, and the health cost for marijuana users is 40 times lower than for tobacco users. There's never been a recorded fatal marijuana overdose in history. In fact, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is what tracks all of the United States deaths, they don't even have a category for marijuana use. That Center for Disease Control and Prevention does, however, attribute upwards of 40,000 deaths per year due to alcohol use, including acute overdoses. There's no conclusive evidence that links marijuana to cancer. Surprisingly, actually, I found this out, which was really amazing to me. Studies show that people who smoke marijuana actually had lower incidences of cancer than non-smokers, non-marijuana users. Now I'm going to go through 10 different diseases, or 10 different disorders, or 10 different illnesses, or like health problems, and how marijuana is beneficial to them. Cancer. There's a lot of unfounded rhetoric that states smoking pot can cause lung cancer because you're inhaling smoke, like cigarettes. This simply isn't true. Cigarette smoke causes cancer because the tobacco is radiated, whereas marijuana isn't. In fact, the American Association for Cancer Research has found that marijuana actually works to slow down tumor growth in the lungs, brain, and breasts. Seizures. Marijuana is a muscle relaxant, and it has antispasmodic, I hope I'm saying that right, it says spasmodic, I would think it would be spasmatic, but whatever, qualities which have proven to be a very effective treatment of seizures. There are actually countless cases of people suffering from seizures that have only been able to function better through the use of marijuana. Migraines. Since medical marijuana was legalized in California, doctors have reported that they have been able to treat more than 300,000 cases of migraines that conventional medicine couldn't through marijuana. I actually know more people than I can count on one hand who suffer from migraines and nothing works for them. None of the really hard prescription drugs to help migraines works for them. It just, they're still in pain. When they smoke marijuana, their migraines go away. Glaucoma. Marijuana's treatment for glaucoma has been one of the best documented. There isn't a single valid study that exists that disproves marijuana's very powerful and popular effects on glaucoma patients. Multiple sclerosis, there we go. Marijuana's effects on MS patients became better documented when former talk show host Montel Williams began to use pot to treat his MS. Marijuana works to stop the neurological effects and muscle spasms that come from the fatal disease. Tourette's and OCD. Just like marijuana can treat seizures and multiple sclerosis, marijuana's effects slow down the tics in those suffering from Tourette's, and it also slows down the obsessive neurological symptoms in people with OCD. ADD and ADHD. A well-documented USC study done about a year ago showed that marijuana is not only a perfect alternative for Ritalin, but treats the disorder without any of the negative side effects of the pharmaceutical. IBS and Crohn's. Marijuana has shown that it can help with symptoms of the chronic diseases as it stops nausea, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Alzheimer's. Despite what you may have heard about marijuana's effects on the brain, the Scripps Institute in 2006 proved that the THC found in marijuana works to prevent Alzheimer's by blocking the deposits in the brain that cause the disease. And finally, PMS, premenstrual syndrome. Basically, just like it could be